Alrighty, and here we are. Nice to see you all here. We'll just give some time for people to come on in. Gonna be doing something a little exciting this month that, you know, I'm looking forward to, so we'll just bring on people here. Just close up a couple applications here. Mellow Miniatures, it's 8 p.m. That can mean only one thing. Time for Mellow Minis. Well, thank you, Mellow Miniatures. Nice to see you. Yeah, so I got the exciting news that my package has arrived. So I'm gonna get to start painting Forge Fathers. Coming up pretty close here. So it's going to be the end of these guys here. Sorry for the delay. I went and did a lot of changes as settings for my setup. Hopefully, like, are you guys seeing less green on the stream? Because that's the goal. I was basically just fiddling around, doing everything in my power to absolutely minimize the grain so that you guys get some higher quality footage. It looks better on my end, but what does it look like for you guys? So, like, if I go in here, we are indeed what? We are indeed seeing higher quality. Because you would think that I would figure out how to do that better, but yeah, I want to make sure that you guys can actually see what I'm doing, and if, like, the video is just full of grain, it's going to be an awful experience. So yeah, so what I did is I found, besides more lighting, I did add one additional light, but what I actually found, crystal clear. Oh, that is beautiful. That is the news that I'm looking to hear. What I was finding is that what I should actually be doing is, because I had the gain on pretty high. Online people were saying do middle or less than half gain. You know, I increased the actual brightness settings. I just tried to get everything as good as I can here. See if I can make my rickety setup. I took the screen off of my main light too, so that I get, like, just saturated light, which hopefully isn't too hard on the eyes. But yeah, so let's see here. So I think all of these guys here received their base highlights, so we're just going to scooch them over to the side. Just kind of give them a bit of a push. Oh, you know what? Actually, I know one thing I can do on this guy here. But I am happy to announce, after this stream, we are no longer going to be seeing these Space Marines, whether I finish them today or not, because we are going to be beginning, folks, the march of the Dwarves. So, for anyone who's not in my Discord, feel free to enter in !Discord if you're not already there. It's fun, really fun, chill place to hang out. One of my community members he inherited from his older brother something like a couple of hundred dwarf miniatures. And so, you know, we've been seeing progress on him, you know, painting up some dwarves. And, you know, it kind of started to spread like an infection. So everyone being pretty hype about the dwarves, I looking into Grimdark Future, an alternative rule set, war game, free to play, miniature agnostic. I love miniature agnostic games. But they have a faction called the dwarf guilds, if I recall correctly. And so you can use any dwarf miniatures that you've got that are sci-fi. So I was looking into Mantic Games, and I ordered a bunch of their Forge Father miniatures, specifically for that. And surprisingly, they ended up coming in very, very quickly. So I was like, well, you know what? Like maybe like it's March. Like maybe I could finally do a painting event. And I was like, you know what? Like literally, as far as I'm in my experience, people either absolutely are diehard dwarf fans or they don't care about dwarves at all. Either way, just about everybody has dwarf miniatures because dwarves are kind of a staple, right? So this dwarf here, this is a a cast of a hand sculpted miniature from Malleus Miniatures. Great guy, Canadian, independent miniature creator. He has an Etsy shop. My thoughts are that for people who do, above and beyond in this little painting competition I've got here, I might be able to send them some Malleus miniature dwarves. So here you can see this one. Like this is this is just like the most remarkable sculpt of because again, this is a hand sculpted miniature. Like all that chainmail, he did that with not acrylic, silicone tools. Like the hands, like all of this. This is remarkable. That's a fine dwarf. I stepped away for a sec. Is that a Forge Father? No, this is not a Forge Father. Unfortunately, the Forge Fathers are waiting for pickup. This is a Malleus miniature. This is one of the dwarf brothers, and is like just massive two-handed sword. I love how characteristically large the hands are. I know that's a stylistic thing, but like when I personally think of dwarves, I think of them having massive like orangutan hands that helps them grab onto big tools. Like their grip would be unmatched. That's my head fantasy for dwarves. So like, as far as I'm considered, like this is like the perfect dwarf in my eyes. But that being said and done, today I'm not going to be painting dwarves. I'm going to be. I wonder, how does the white turn out? Oh my goodness! Does my skin? No, my skin still explodes. Nothing changed there. Okay. I was like, did I find a setting that will allow my skin to be on camera? No, I didn't. Of course not. It is a quality dwarf. Malleus is also a Twitch streamer, so if anyone is ever interested in going and checking out his stream, I believe it is Malleus Miniatures. Let's see if I can type that correctly. Does he do it with an underscore? Nope, that's the wrong application once again. If I go Twitch TV / Malleus Miniatures. It's a lot harder to type in gloves. At least it isn't this glove. I feel like the glove on my right hand is defective. It's not the right size. Is it just Malleus? It's just Malleus. Okay, cool. Bam. So if anyone's interested in his stream or checking out his stuff, I actually got to watch Warrior, which also kind of looks like a dwarf. Here we go. So I got to watch him sculpt this. Like, do you see that there's teeth inside that mouth? There's teeth. It's crazy. I got to watch him sculpt this. Like I got to watch him sculpt these minis, and like look at the barrel. Do you see that there's actually grains in the wood of that barrel? That little keg. He's got grains in there. There's wood grains. It's remarkable. That's my buddy Malleus. I try to be as supportive as I can for small miniature companies and creators, and Malleus is no exception. So cool watching something be created and then owning a version of it. It really is. It's like the fact that I have copies of his miniatures that I got to watch be made on stream was just an experience. Yeah, no, and also too, his minis, just for full clarity, like they are, in my opinion, remarkably underpriced. I think it's like they come close to like $5 Canadian per mini. Like, it's I've told him before, and I've spoken with Valley Dweller. Valley Dweller's also bought from him. That the minis he has are of such a quality, and like for being artisanal, right? Just like he's just one guy. He is one person. He does everything. He does the sculpting. He does the molding. He does the casting. Like he does the entire process, right? Only to make a couple bucks, which maybe just covers the price of materials and a little bit extra. Like, I think he needs to pay more or charge more. But you can buy his stuff on Etsy. So. Let's see if I can get the link, because there are other things that he's got too. He's got a lot of halflings, which I think is really cool, considering there's not a lot of remarkable halfling miniatures. If I go etsy.com/ here we go, shop Malleus. Let's see, has he uploaded anything new? Let's take a look and see if he's uploaded anything new. This is not the right Malleus. That is not the right Malleus. Malleus Miniatures? There we go. Goodness gracious. Don't click that one. There we go. My gosh. Here we go. This is the one. So, looking at his stuff, I see he's got his human warriors. He's got his skeletons, he's got his ratmen, he's got his human soldiers, he's got his halflings, so he's got these two are listed in his halflings line. Or no, sorry. This one and this one. Those two are halflings. On a shop. And then he's got his elf miniature. His dwarf brothers. I love the dwarfs. And then he's got his demons. I love the demons that he's got there. So yeah. I'm considering that if there is a quote-unquote winner, that I might order them that dwarf and his brother, the dwarf brothers. Perfect, so I got that. That looks kind of cool. And I'm going to have to do the thingy on that. What colors do they even use on that? I think it's gold. Gold is not a remarkable color for painting. I don't really like using gold if I can avoid it. Da 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 da. Where is he? He is right here. Of course it's gold. Gold, and there's a black skull. Alright, well let's hold off on the gold for now. Gold is loud and obnoxious. So, what do you got planned today? Mellow Miniatures. My brain died for a moment there. My apologies. Of course, the Gobos are his most expensive unit. Minis. They are. There's a lot of them, right? So like there's more than just a couple of them. And they're a little bit naughty too. Hey, making tangles. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. How is the image making tangles? I was having a lot of grain issues the other day. Are they still present? Would you say that there's not really any grain on it? Is it pretty clear, crystal clear? How would you rate it? Looks similarly grainy. That is unfortunate. And good evening, Malleus. Nice to see you. Yeah, I was playing with the settings a lot, so... But if it's still a little bit grainy, that's unfortunate. But only so much can be done about that, right? Seems a little grainy, but not unsightly around, so anything. Okay. Maybe slightly better. I mean, it's okay. You can tell me that it's terrible. That just reaffirms that I need to get a new webcam. That's all. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you tell me it's unsightly. Yes. Basically, I'm just trying to make it so grainier than it should be for the amount of light you've got. Oh yeah, so I have even more light now today. Surprise, surprise. I added an additional light right here. So I've got this one here. I've got this one here. And the one that I had on the right-hand side is, I've taken the cover off of it. So, because usually you would leave that on to prevent it from being too harsh. It's also a cloudy day today, so if it was a little sunnier, it may have been different. Got my sunnies on. It is not sunny. It is not sunny today. Today is cloudy. Here, give me 1 second. I'll just be right back. And back, and I can hear the construction is super loud. Okay, there we go. Now we got that there. I'm not drawing a whole lot, but there's still a few deciding of clothing is a thing. Oh, are we talking about drawing dwarves? I'm super excited to see that people are drawing dwarves too, not just minis. Get a little bit of variety. Variety is the spice of life. Most of the day has passed and I did nothing. I may grab something quick from upstairs and paint it, everything I have next to you and need to do on camera. It may just be, but the grain has almost gone, is almost gone on your end. Okay. I mean, I can see some of the grain right now, but it is on my end at the very least pretty minimal. At least minimal compared to what yesterday was. I did look at the recording yesterday and it was terrible. It was an absolute atrocity. So, yeah. Because yeah, no, I was doing a little bit of homework yesterday and I was trying to find out. I was like, okay, what is it that causes the grain? And I also found out that you typically want to have your gain settings quite low. I did not have my gain settings quite low. I had my gain settings relatively high actually. So I went and I fixed that. Not gonna play with it much more today, at least not during on stream, but I did some work to improve it and gonna do a little bit more tomorrow for testing purposes. We'll see how much better I can get it to show. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not quite a camera person, so I had to do a little bit of learning. Oh, my kitty. Yeah, I have no minis to paint or anything. But you can draw dwarves. 5 of them are visible, and a bit of one head. I'm so looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out. I want all of them to be themselves. They're just open to clothing suggestions. I think at least one should have overalls. Maybe some rough pants. Maybe one has a blacksmith apron on it. Like they just got off work. In a cat onesie? Oh my goodness. Okay, yes. Yes, there should absolutely be one in a cat onesie. I am so down for that. Okay, if we're going to go that route, let's lean in on it too. Gotta have some fancy dwarves. Like they're like at least one of them is like holding their tea like two-handed, like keeping their hands warm. I certainly know I'll do that on a cold day. Both hands on the tea. Unapologetically themselves. Yes. Yes. Ah, so you're gonna draw them actually marching. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, these are the questions I don't really think of very often. I usually think of like the stereotype dwarf, so we're used to seeing. So this is a nice little exercise to like get that out of my head. Yeah, March of the Dwarves. I like that. Oh my god. Ganon, this is too early. Never too early for cat cuddles. I mean, the cuddles would be fine. And that's not what he's doing. Ganon is a monster. Don't be fooled by his cuteness. He is a monster. The kibbles. Yeah, I know, right? It's a Victorian child. Alright, here, give me 1 sec, okay? Alright, sorry about that there. Had to give him some sneaky feeding. Because otherwise things will not go well. So I'm seeing that I did a test piece for the shoulder-mounted like targeting things. So I did a couple of the test pieces with them being red. Not really loving that in comparison to, say, like just black. Because I feel like the black adds a little bit more accent to the piece. So figuring that out. And yes, Ganon has been fed the kibbles. Because I can't have him meowing and causing his sister to have anxiety, because she's actually having a really good day today. She's actually doing remarkably, and I want to make sure that him and his loud mouth don't go ruining it for her. You know, she wasn't great all day today, but she was certainly better than usual, so I have to make sure that I preserve that. You know, you've got like one cat that's got anxiety and just wants to be loved all day long and held and fed, and for her endless itching to be scratched. And then you've got another one who's a screaming, demanding, you know, fuzzy dictator, for lack of better words. I was once told off for writing black accents in a drama I wrote. I said the characters should dress in white with black accents in it. I thought I meant voices. Oh my goodness, no. No. That's unfortunate. Clearly they did not understand fashion. Like, they should understand costumes. I didn't mean like their voices, I meant like a trim. Don't you start. You are fine. I will spray you. Be good. What are you doing? You're knocking stuff over, you're walking in circles. Hey. Cut it out. Heck. Perfect. Backfired big time. Yeah, trim is usually for like edges. You know, you could have things like black accents, like they have black buttons, they have, you know, maybe the cuffs are black. There's a lot of things on there, but that's unfortunate. Hopefully that got sorted out without much drama. Yeah, it's hard to say with the cases like that. Just something that sticks in your head. Yeah, no, I mean, that's not something you're going to forget, right? Like, being accused of being racist is most certainly something that's like, especially if you're someone who like advocates for equality. Like, it's a very like I'm sorry, what? No. I was in an elevator once, and this was only just a couple months ago. There's a two-person limit in the elevator in my building right now due to the pandemic. It's like this story I'm about to tell is very recent, and so what ended up happening was, I was in the elevator with my gremlin, as she is requested to be referred to as a gremlin. And you were hearing me pronounce that right. She said Ling, not Lin, and I clarified that with her, and she said, "Yep, that's it." So, anyways, I'm in there, and dude barges in, and I'm really, but there's a two-person limit. He goes in, he barges in, we're like, hey, but like the elevator's already full. There's the two-person limit. Can you please not? And he starts basically accusing me of being racist, saying that like pushing people around, and then he starts like using like super outdated terms like yellow people. He's listing people off. He's like, white people are always harassing black people, brown people, and then he refers to Asians as yellow people, which is a very like outdated and not acceptable term anymore, especially in Canada. It was like, man, like you're calling me racist. You're not really doing a great job yourself. It was just like it was boggling. It was something I was not prepared for. Yeah, he was trying to like twist it around like the two-person limit. He's like, no, it's 2 meters. I'm like, yeah, only like you can only fit so many people in the elevator and allow for room for 2 meters. That's why it's 2 people. And he just went and pushed for the idea that like I was being racist against him. I'm like, man, it has nothing to do with that. Ah, heck. It was, and like it's not like a argument that like I can like be like no because blah. It's like, look, I'm sure you're having a horrible day right now, and I get that. I just want to be safe in the elevator. Like, that's it. Much better grain today on the grain. For a tiny sensor like in your camera, you want it down to 0 if you can manage it. So when you're talking about sensor, are you talking about the game settings? Are you talking about the exposure? Because yeah, I definitely want to get the exposure down, is my understanding. Because the exposure is making the camera actually do work. You. Out, 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 out. Nope, not feeding. Stop it. I know she thinks I am. No, stop, stop. Not feeding, not feeding. Go, 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 go. Okay. It's not feeding time, just step outside, okay? It's okay. Just let her be. Let's see if how she reacts. Don't do that. You're okay. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Me opening the door does not mean food time. Is the blanket? Okay, there's one in here. Okay, looks like I need to feed the cats. I'm just gonna, sorry, had to step away because the cat, I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Cats or bio break? It was cats. Hey Loki, how's it going? let's see here. So, okay, so let's see. If I can get the exposure, because the exposure is a little high. If I can up the brightness... No, it doesn't quite work the same. Exposure. Yeah, the exposure was fine before. Oh, no, it's all good there. You're all good, Loki. Oh my goodness. This construction will not end. Loving the dwarf you got from Cephalopod Studios. Okay, so the opinion is changing for the dwarf. It's pretty good, eh? It looks good. You just want the gain down. Oh, okay. I see, I see. Yeah, I can tinker with that tomorrow. So yeah, if I get that down... I do have to increase the exposure a little bit when I do that. There we go. And maybe increase the color saturation just a little bit. 'Cause that's stuff the computer would be doing. Washed it with alcohol, primed him, started looking cool. That's exciting. That's good to hear. That's what I like to hear. You know, Loki, you're the one that's responsible for March of the Dwarfs. I just hope you know. Your inherited dwarf army and the, I think, 2 months of dwarf hype or dwarf hype. Oh yeah, buddy, you know it. You know it. You planted a seed in my brain. There's a seed of dwarves. Not a bad thing, though. And I think that's a good thing. Oh my gosh. So this is a second-hand mini. I'm sure you guys can see. It's like, these are the only ones that were pre-painted. There were 2 that were pre-painted, and oh my goodness, I've been working so hard to get them up to like a better quality than they were before. I sort of already bragged to your roleplay buddies. That's awesome. That's good. Were you guys playing D&D? Or were you guys just doing like classic like LARPing? One day I'll try LARPing. Lady Blackbird. I don't know what that is. Tell me all about it. If you and a group of friends are enjoying it, clearly it must be good. I haven't heard someone call a washroom break a bio break in quite a while. I always liked that term. Gets the point across, and it's less embarrassing for anyone who might be, embarrassed about the fact that they are human. We've all got to do it. I'll tell you, I should have just stripped these minis. The two that were pre-painted, they are so, like, painting over them feels like it's more work than just starting from scratch with these two in particular. Especially one, I can't tell, it almost feels like they used enamel on it. It's like, I don't know if they like varnished it with like nail gloss. Like it was weird, I tell you. It's a custom system that's all about yes and no. Oh, yes and. Oh, okay, cool. I love yes and improv. I think everyone can learn something from yes and. I really believe that. Just helps you be better with social skills in general too. At least that's been my experience with it. I know that I got after doing like DMing and like really learning yes and I became a little bit more adventurous and more like less hesitant to say yes to things. Just became more agreeable in general. Goblin Sky Pirate called Snargle. I'm an engineer, pseudo-shapeshifter, pilot, and all-around mad scientist. That sounds awesome, Loki. I like that. There we go. It was getting somewhere. Looks better on camera than it does in person. Blarg. Did I actually do that one? No, I did not. Whoa! Beating the camera, apparently. Apparently that's what I'm all about. Take that, camera. How dare. That is too wet of a brush. That paint is too wet and it is hard to control. I want a little bit drier than that. No, but yeah. Hey, I mean, sometimes like I know that the best advice people can give for DMing, like Dungeons and Dragons is like my anchor point on like being able to identify here. Um, a lot of people always says yes and always say yes and, but I mean sometimes you do have to say no. And Matt Colville did a great, great video where he talked about that. He's like, if you have a certain narrative and a person saying that they want to do this, sometimes you can say no. Say no, but this could work instead. If this is the aspect of it that you want. And I love that, and I agree with that. It's very true. But it is best, usually, as a default rule of thumb, to try and say yes to everything that you can. And then in the situations that you can't, say no, but. And you usually get some pretty good results doing stuff like that. I'm realizing that there are different Terminator legs here. Neat. The world's some structure, but the players make the story. And, I think that's really like how it should be. I think a lot of DMs go on a little bit of a my story hype and forget the fact that they're playing with other people and try to force people into doing things that they don't necessarily want to do. But I mean, it really depends on your DM. It's all about open communication. What are you guys looking for in the beginning of it? Some people want to just play the DM story. Perfect. If that's the case, that's your fun. I'm not going to criticize your fun. I want to marry the barmaid, and then we should stay in the small starting town. Probably doesn't make for a good story. Yeah, exactly. When I usually think of role-playing games, and this is a little bit controversial. I don't usually think of it necessarily as making a story. I know a lot of people, that's what they gravitate to, and they call it, you're forging a story. I usually refer to it myself when I'm talking about it as crafting an experience. And I know that it might sound like saying the same thing, but in a different way, or using different words. But in my personal experience, I don't necessarily think of role-playing as a story-making tool. I think that there are stories that can come out of role-playing, and I think that there are stories that do come out of role-playing. But it's not like a transcript, per se, where you take things key by key. For example, with the comics for Vox Machina from Critical Role. There's a story because there's the comics, right? But they're not transcripted key for key from what they did with the roleplay. Like the writer, Matt Colville, had to make decisions, had to find how can I do this best in a storytelling manner, right? Because I mean, like, if you have everyone who is playing is a novelist and they make decisions based off of what would make good story, then yeah, you could use it as a story developing tool or tool. Um, but I think it's more about crafting experiences because and the reason I say that is when I play D&D, I don't say my character. I said me and my friend Keith or me and my friend Bob went and we did this and we went and we killed a dragon today. I say we. I don't say my character, right? To me, that is what role playing is, and that is so much more powerful in my opinion than just a story, right? Now that being said, after I've done all that, I can then go and take those characters, take that event, and try to make a story out of it, and use the key elements and work off of that as a basis. That works. But yeah, it's emergent. It is. I wouldn't call it a storytelling experience for role playing games, but I think that role play like in LARPs and stuff can be like a storytelling experience. I think it is an experience. It's just the story part that I typically I step away from or I don't utilize when I describe like an RPG. But I do think it's an experience. I think that there is a plot. I think that there is a narrative. But the thing is, like, there doesn't has to be, right? And so, like, you could just have a beer and pretzels game that doesn't really have a plot, or you could have a dungeon, like a mega dungeon. Like, there's not going to be very much plot in a mega dungeon. So to say that role playing as itself is a storytelling experience, I feel isn't necessarily accurate because it's not. It's kind of like saying all fruits are apples. That's not true because oranges exist, right? So that like you could use it as a storytelling experience, right? But I think that there is enough experience of role play that people have that are not storytelling that to say role play is a storytelling experience is not necessarily accurate. If that, I think that might explain what my hesitance is on it a little bit better. So this is the other miniature that was originally painted terribly. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, do you see how shiny that is? Like, what is that? Is that enamel? That's not paint. There's no way that that's paint. But to give an example, The Expanse is a story written after a D20 modern campaign where they had this world that they set up and they did all these cool things, right? Like very much so. That one was a story made after a role-playing campaign of essentially Dungeons and Dragons. So, obviously, if I was to say it's not able to be a story, that is inaccurate. That is blatantly inaccurate. I just simply say as itself for what it is. Not that it can't be used otherwise, but for what it is inherently, I'm hesitant to call it a story crafter, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, like what's Loki's saying, it is a narrative experience, um, but narrative in itself is not inherently story, right? Story is a type of narrative. It is a form of narrative. Um, and it is collective interactions and interpretations. Um, Storyscape and gameplay, yeah, there can be storyscape, but there isn't necessarily a storyscape with a role playing game, right? For anyone who's like Chris, you're crazy and wrong. I'm going to reference here Matt Colville again. I do recommend checking out his video about why he explains that role playing games are not story tools. As he himself is a published author and a story writer in the previously story writer in the video games industry, and has years of experience on role playing games. This is not to say, of course, this is not to say that your experience of using role playing games as story is wrong. That is not at all what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that what you did was special. And that your experience likely will not be everybody's experience. A great example. Here's a great example. The Dragonlance campaign books from the 80s and 90s. Those were interactive story experiences where you play as characters from the Dragonlance novels and you experience the story that has already been crafted. And one campaign book would go to the next and to the next and to the next. Those were story experiences. And, your players may have different experiences with that, campaign or that story than other players who played the same module. But it was an interactive story experience. But it was not a story making tool. It's mostly just the tool part that I'm having most of my disagreement with. Oh, yeah, have a good night. They're making tangles. Bye bye. And again, for full clarity, I'm not saying anybody's experiences are wrong or that anybody was doing anything incorrectly. I'm just having a open discussion on a subject, which I know that some people are going to say that I'm wrong, which is fine. That's okay. there's a cultural agent to this as well. Culturally, Scandinavians view everything as a story, as a saga to be retold. Obviously, the concept has been diluted over 1,000 years. But it's just saying, a Dane will do anything to obtain a good story. Fascinating. See that? There you go. That's something that I wouldn't have been familiar with. So I guess I should preface, like, when I'm saying like a story, I'm saying like something that is, publishable, like a book, right? Because that's the context most people are saying when they say it's a story making tool, and it's like, well, no, it's not necessarily a story making tool, right? Because if I just write, I mean, that's not to say that I can't write a story about anything. You can write a story about anything, and you can publish it. But whether or not there's a plot or anything that people would deem noteworthy of reading is up to basically the culture that you are and the demographic. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. The demographic. So like a story about like an epic tale of a god fighting against a thing and there being redemption and arc and like all those things, like those would be cool. That's a story, right? You can play your Dungeons and Dragons campaign, have that, use that as your basis, and then make an excellent story of that. That's totally doable. But if you're having a campaign of murder hobos in a mega dungeon, you likely don't really have something that's like worth publishing in paper on a book. Not to say that you can't. You could. Like you can do just about anything, right? If you do self-publishing. Same way a pen and paper night is a story be retold later. That's something that retold. Yeah, exactly. When you're having your chatter with your friends and you're saying, "I did this. This is cool," that is more close to a story than the actual game, right? I do not call, and that's kind of the point that Matt Colville makes, right? Is that playing the game, making the decisions, doing the call, rolling the dice, that stuff is not story making. The story is what happens afterwards when you are retelling what happened. Because there are actual narrative games that are designed exclusively for story writing. Like that is an actual product that people make and publish with that intention. So you and me are Loki. Like we're agreeing on it on a up to a certain point. There's just a slight difference in how we're phrasing it. Because you and me are in agreement that it's when you're retelling the events, that is the story, and that is the part that I'm basically saying that the game itself is not the story. That is not making a story. It is when you're retelling it that now you're starting to have a story. Story of my life, but I'd say as a GM that we're weaving a story from the action through my players. I will disagree with you on that, but it's okay to have a disagreement, right? You can have a difference of opinions and still get along. That is my opinion. My belief. And that was kind of like what brought me to that point in the first place, is that a lot of people will say, well, it's the choices, that you're making the story. And I'm like, you're playing a game. That's my game designer talking, right? But I do believe that when you were discussing it afterwards, now you have a story. You're telling the events. You're narrating at that moment when you are having that discussion, and that is when there's a story. No, you die now. Too funny. Too funny, Loki. Fight me to the death. Let's see here. Too funny, too funny. I gotta say, I cannot wait to be just to pack these guys away and just say I'm done with them. I am so looking forward to painting something else from a different company. I have spent too long on Games Workshop here. It's funny, I saw a video suggested in my feed from Pickle Jar. And it was like, why I don't paint Games Workshop, and I was like, well, I have a long list of ideas as to why that might be, but I mean, I've shared those ideas on my own channel before. I don't really need to hear why someone else had that same mindset. Yeah. Part of me anticipates negativity, and I don't have the energy for it. What is with this white here? Why is that white? It's like a big white glob of paint. I can't tell if like that was a mistake or error that I did there. Where's your joke? Raise his arms. Let's see here. Gotta say, there's a nice simplicity with fights to the death. The winner, that's who the person was right. Because the opponent can't speak no more. Certain simplicity there. It's kind of nice. Respectable. Alright. Let's see here. I keep hearing Anxiety Cat. I wonder how she's doing. She's not laying down right now, so I think she's having a pretty good day today, actually, in general. It's stupid. The greatest hero of all times in Denmark, Thundershield, died in a duel in Norway over non-labeled seats in the theater? What? Really? It sounds like the greatest hero may not have been the smartest hero. That's, or at least the, um, they do not get the least petty award. That's, ugh. I tell you. Humans have evolved a lot of things. Sometimes brains is not one of them. Goodness gracious. Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to step away just to see what Anxiety Cat's doing. You okay? You look like you're doing all right. Needed a break? Cutie. Yeah, Anxiety Cat is just chilling in the middle of the floor. Being a cat. Yep, he saved Denmark several times over. He went home to his hometown in Norway, went with his girlfriend to the theater, and some nobleman had taken his usual seat. They argued and settled it with an illegal duel outside. He was shot and killed. The obnoxious nobleman died 2 days later. Oh my gosh. Like, what a petty thing to lose your life, to risk your life over, right? Like, it's not even just like to lose it, just like the idea that that was ever a good decision to be made. That is an unfortunate waste of potential. Let's see here. Am I too zoomed in, or am I not zoomed in enough? Okay, that's too much. There we go. He was a freaking hero. I bet he thought he couldn't die. Yeah, it sounds like it got to his head a little bit. "'Tis just a scratch." Can't even quote. "'Tis but a scratch." At the time, Denmark had the biggest fleet in the world, but England, being afraid of us joining In Napoleon, they performed the world's first official terrorist act. Not terribly surprised. And burned down most of Copenhagen. Thundershield fought in a fleet of burning ships to keep the British at bay. Fascinating. Oh yes, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is a great movie. The Black Knight, the Knights Who Say Knee, the Abomination in the Cave, the Holy Hand Grenade. It's full of just great, timeless humor in that movie. Preface by saying, assuming that you and Mellow Miniatures are the same age, that is a big kudos that you guys watched those films. Those are classics and are definitely before your time. They're before my time, so I have to say, you know, good on ya. Those are must-watch movies. Did England join Napoleon, or did Britain join Napoleon? Oh yeah, the Rabbit of Sir Nog. That's it. Yes, that is what I referred to as the Abomination in the Cave. Hi. You don't need to jump up on my lap. Hi. You can come hang out with me. Yeah. Here, let me get your ear out of there. There we go. Is that better? Got a few years on Mellow, but has probably seen far more classic movies. Most excellent. Yeah, 'cause, like that. Anything Monty Python is before my time, right? Yeah, Python's great, especially the Monty Python TV show, like defending yourself from a strawberry. Hey, cut it out. No, go down. Go down. You don't need to go on my lap. I think defending yourself from a strawberry is one of the funniest skits of all time. It's just so ridiculous. You shot him. He had a banana. All we ever do is learn how to protect ourselves from strawberries. When are we going to learn how to protect ourselves against a knife? I would just like to up front say that most wars are stupid and unnecessary. Not all of them, but most wars. Yeah. I would like to think we can all just get along and not be dicks. Okay. Don't do it. I can see the panic in your eyes. So you guys are wondering what I'm talking about. She is trying to get on my lap. Hey, no. Down, 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 down. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna outright disagree with on that. Whether or not the Olympics were a form of demonstrating your country's prowess, to call it warfare is not accurate by today's modern standard. Like competition, like if you mean competition, yeah, competition's healthy. Competition's fine. But that's very different than war. Um, Given what the modern term means. Yeah, Zelda's freaking out. Yeah, like if you say something like war is healthy, like people are going to be thinking of like the Vietnam War, World War II. Like none of those were healthy. So I would like to refrain from making comments like that, if possible. And even back then, like the Olympics very quickly just turned into a sporting event and a way of marketing and profiting your economy, right? Because visitors would come in from all across the world, and regardless of what the original intention was, that diminished very, very quickly. And we need to, be mindful that people die in wars. Okay, well, it might have just been the way that it was communicated, but just to start off with your sentence saying "I think war is healthy," it brings off a very bad message. So maybe just do a little bit more build up than that next time is all. It's like I had a lot of family that fought in World War II, right? And that wasn't great. Obviously my grandparents like to talk about you know who went and did what and stuff, but like it's always about like family members that like no one's really seen or met, which kind of like comes across that they never came back home, and they don't say it, but those people never came back. always finding things that I missed here. You can see here I forgot his little hood thing. Yep. Oh, well, Greece had a lot of problems, right? Like they were warring with themselves as much as they were warring with you know, neighbors, right? Like I might be getting some details mixed up with Rome, but like, for example, you know, with, in terms of like the Spartans, they would invade neighboring like provinces and nations and take slaves. Like it was Greek fighting Greek. It was idiotic, and frankly very savage. Again, I can't remember if the Spartans were Roman or if they were Greek, but like, we're talking about two different nations that were revered as being, at their time, remarkably civil, and the truth couldn't be from the farther. When you have, you know, basically in-house fighting, right? Mind you, it doesn't help that like their plates were painted and decorated with lead paint, and they were eating off that, and obviously when it slowly deteriorates and chips, you're consuming lead. And lead poisoning, man oh man, that does bad things to your brain. When you've got lead poisoning, you are not the same person that you used to be. Right. Time for animal bedtime, and viewers shortly after. Spartans were Greek and from the city of Sparta. Thank you. Yeah. Night meow kiss. But yeah, like I mean, like it's messed up, right? Like, I can understand like provinces or states not getting along. Like that's understandable. But to literally be invading your neighboring cities and provinces and taking slaves from them, like holy hell. Like, what's wrong with people? That would be like if Alberta invaded British Columbia. Like, it's things like that are inconceivable in this time and age, or at least for certain countries like my own. Hi, Zelda, you gotta relax. I see that all you're thinking about is trying to jump up on my lap. She got like a wide-eyed look. Ready to pounce on me? Don't you dare jump on my back. So something that she likes to do is she has twice, maybe 3 times, tried jumping onto my back, and obviously when that happens I got 4 little paws all scrounging to try and get footing, so I end up with like a back full of scratches when that happens. She's very cute, but she is not a smart cat. Yeah, you could say that again, Lucky Loki. I don't know. Greece was all sorts of messed up. I think also too, Greece gets a little overhyped for like being the start of, you know, records. Like it's great that we have as many written records as we do of Greece, and I think that's really like why they get so much like hype. But like there were civilizations in China way before in Greece, and they were just as impressive. Who needs brains when you got looks? Oh, jeez. What was the actor of Leonidas? He's a good-looking guy. Can't remember his name. I think he's Irish, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Pretty sure he's Irish. Is that who you're talking about when you say who needs brains when you're good looking? Is it Russell Crowe? I gotta look this up. Oh, no. No, not Russell Crowe. That's not Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is from New Zealand. Actually here. 300. No. Oh my gosh, is that Russell Crowe? Oh, Russell Crowe got old. No, that's not Russell Crowe. That can't be Russell Crowe. Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler. That's who I'm thinking of. And Gerard Butler is Scottish. That's who it is. Russell Crowe is Gladiator. Oh, hello there, Kina. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. May not be able to stay. There we go. Russell Crowe's Gladiator. That's it. Okay. Do you got school today, Kina, or is school locked down at the moment? As part of the lockdown, no classes. Full Zoom day. Had one Zoom this morning and another in a couple hours. Good stuff, good stuff. Schools in lockdown in Auckland. Fair enough. I see a spot that I missed. Need to fix that up. What are you doing? Are you... No, okay. If you're wondering who I'm talking to, I've got Zelda right at my feet right now. And she is being very needy right now. But, you know, she's doing pretty well all in all right now. Haven't had to go and, like, make her lie down. She's just hanging out. All in all, she's doing pretty good. How are things going on my end? Oh, you know, same old, same old. I was supposed to get a package today, but FedEx is claiming that there wasn't a buzzer number on it, and I know that's a lie. You know, somebody just not wanting to do their due diligence, but that's, you know, happens. I can understand. I accept it. It is what it is, and the place that I have to go to pick it up tomorrow isn't too terribly far away. So, you know, it's not too bad. I've decided to do a painting event, which is going to be exciting. I'm going to call it March of the Dwarves. So for March, after today, I'm going to do as much dwarf painting as I can. I got some sci-fi dwarves. I might do a giveaway. You know, it should be good. It should be good. So I need to figure out what I want to do with it. You know, see if it can be something cool. Yeah, relax. Relax, kitty. Yeah, well, I mean, the package is what it is, right? I can only stress about the things I can control, right? If I stress about everything, then I'm just going to be a big ball of stress, and that's not going to help me or anybody else. So, you know, I've just got to try and, you know, be reasonable with my expectations. As soon as I saw it was FedEx, I anticipated that the package was going to be claimed as undeliverable. They've got a little bit of a habit of that. Front and back. Ooh, looky, what you got going on here? Hello, Warlander. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. What are you working on today, Warlander? Ah, snap. That is a cool-looking dwarf so far, Loki. Holy heck. I love it. That is awesome. I look forward to seeing how what you end up doing with it there. Sadly, light is super yellow at the moment, so it appears reddish. Warlander, did you see the notification about March of the Dwarves? I've decided to do a little bit of an event this month. Participation obviously is voluntary, but I'm gonna, you know, I think everyone's got some unpainted dwarves in their house somewhere. You know, I just got some dwarfs in the mail, and I was like, you know, why not make something fun? People have asked for me to do a painting event before, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I could try. We'll try. We'll do our best, right? You're slicing walls still. Piles and piles. Well, you look at that right now. A ton of dwarves. See, that's how I felt about it, right? Like, I was like, you know what? Like, I know that I myself, I have one dwarf I have ever painted. Ever. Period. That's it. One. I have a box of dwarves already as it is. March of the Dwarves, as in the month. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad someone's caught on to that. Well, I mean, no. I should say I do know that which making tangles got that too. But yeah, I might do something like a giveaway. I don't know the details yet, but just know that participation, there might be something in it. I don't expect a big outcome, so like, and I'm not going to do like a big painting competition thing. It's just, you know, I need to figure it out. I need to figure stuff out. Maybe I could do something like participating gets you like a ticket for a raffle. Like you don't even have to do a great job. You just, the more you participate, the more raffle tickets you get. Something like that. That way it's kind of like open to everybody. You know, it just gets more hype for the event. It's in my head. It's not March, of course. It's Marts. Ah, that would do it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the month March. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it will be cool. I want, and I want it to be accessible too, because I know if I do it just as like a traditional like painting competition of like skill, some people might be discouraged to participate, right? But if I do it something like, look, you do like anything and you get a raffle ticket. I think I kind of like that. Because it should be about having fun. It should be about, you know, having a good time rather than like be super competitive. Are you sure? I mean, we could do that. It's totally your call there, Loki. So you also got Skull Pass Dwarves. So like what I was thinking, and I mean the reason why I'm unsure on the like rewards and whatnot is just simply for the fact that yeah, I need to make sure that I can finance it. But yeah, I guess I would like to do something fun. But one thing I know for sure is I want somebody to get some hand sculpted minis from Malleus Miniatures. He's got some of the coolest dwarfs in my opinion. Here we go. So this is a cast of a hand sculpted dwarf that he did. Like, you know, all the chainmail hand sculpted. He's got fingernails. Yeah, he's got this big old nose. Big hands. In my opinion, like this is like a dwarf in what my headcanon is. Yeah, he's got like these nice little hand details, big giant double-handed sword. I really like it. So I would love to. I'm drifting off the camera here. Yeah, I was thinking like I could do like a multi thing. You know, and my thought was that I could like order online and just have things directly shipped to people. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of planning and paperwork. I'll have to figure things out tomorrow. But what I can do is, if you want to donate as a raffle thing after I get the details figured out, Loki, what I could do is I could PM you. I mean, you don't need to do it either, right? Like you were the person that kind of inspired me for a lot of this stuff. So I would feel bad if you were giving away some of your hard work. What will you do about shipping? So yeah, so in terms of shipping, that is why I want to order things online directly. And basically, if I can find something a little local to what that person is, it might be a little bit easier for me. Because yeah, I agree. Shipping from everything here and then shipping it again is a little bit redundant. But we'll see how it goes, right? I don't see it like that. Make a story, remember to tell. All I have to do is tell whoever wins to take a pic of it. Sounds good. I'll hit you up with the details then once I figure things out, Loki. All of this was kind of very much done on the fly. I just kind of got the idea for it, and I was like, "Ah, man, you know what? They're like, I'm seeing dwarves everywhere," and I was like, "Everyone has a dwarf." Okay, I think that this is going to be a miniature event that everyone could partake in, because that was my thing. I want it to be something everyone can participate in. That is the most important part about it for me. Because I don't like it when there's like an event that like, oh, whoa, Jack. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Holy heck. I know we talked earlier about doing that for the extra minis that I threw into your box, but that's twice as much. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. A few years ago, it was much easier to ship giveaways, but now it's super expensive. I absolutely agree. Yes. Well, heck, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You made my brain melt. I was talking about dwarves and events. Oh, yeah. I know that like when there's events like for painting and stuff, and you have to like buy a specific miniature or stuff like that, like something that maybe you don't already have at home. That can be a real pain, right? Because personally, I like it when the event is something people already have on hand. And given that like dwarves are a fantasy miniature staple, I kind of figured most people probably already have dwarves, or that it's easy enough for them to get a dwarf. Like they can get something from Reaper, they can get something from WizKids, they can get something from Mantic Games, from Games Workshop, right? Like there's nobody that doesn't make dwarves. So that was my thought process on that. Yeah, I figured you'd double the amount of difference because of currency. Well, I appreciate it. It's very sweet of you, Jack. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you kindly. Yeah, no. You're the second person to do donation, and every time I see, like, I was like, oh, did I get a raid? Did I get a follow? And I was like, money. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very kindly. But yeah, there's War Games Atlantics. They have really cool space dwarves too. I really like theirs. If anyone's checking out Space Dwarves, like I have, they are one of my recommendations. Yeah, is 2:23. Good stuff. Making good time. Alrighty. Yeah, I think for like the currency too, like $5 of my dollars is like $2.50 for you almost, or at least that used to be the case. Maybe it's now like $3, but it's not a big difference. It's pretty small chump change. Canadian fun bucks, as I call them. Alright, so got that there. It's time to go to the next highlight. Holy heck, guys. Ugh. It's also time for me to put on a hoodie because I am cold. Alright, so I've been doing all these highlights with gory red. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up some scarlet red. This paint is really old and it's a bit chunky. Yeah, it cost me just over like a $5. No, don't send more than you need to. Mellow Minis, you feeling the batch? Oh, the batch painting feels? Oh, yeah. I've been feeling the batch painting like blues for a couple weeks now. How much longer are you planning on streaming? I have a Zoom in 10 minutes. Probably like a half hour, you know? I'll probably be here for another half hour. Yeah, no, because I declared a few of my guys like already done, or as done, I should say. So I'm just now taking care of these ones. But now that I'm on my second highlight, you can hopefully see the difference between these two. So it should be much faster. This guy has received that already, but it looks awful on him because I was diluting it. So let's see if I can get that up to speed. Let's see here. I don't want to run over your toesies, Zelda. Just be careful. She's like right next to the wheels of my chair. Hey, Limitches! Nice to see you. Well, no worries. Thank you for dropping in and saying hello. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the night. And I don't know if you already saw, but it is going to be now the beginning of March of the Dwarves. Is there someone with you? Yeah, Zelda's with me here. There. Let's see if I can show you where Zelda is right there. No, where is she? She is right there. Zelda! She's just in here. Just got a little kitty. Today she is not assaulting me, so that's good. I am way up here. There we go. Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I'll do my first painting event. I expect nothing of it. I expect it'll go... I mean, already the excitement that I saw in the Discord is already more than I anticipated of a response. So, you know, I already consider this pretty cool. Oh, you're going to be leaving on Sunday, so you won't find a dwarf there, though. Oh, well, that's all right. Some people are just going to be drawing dwarves. Some people are going to be potentially writing about dwarves. You don't have to be painting a miniature. So if you want to, you know, have your dwarf be in a different medium, go for it. You know, I'm not going to put any restrictions or limits. Just as long as it's a dwarf. Haven't. I would like to make it as accessible as possible for everybody. You know. So still thinking what to do for it. Ah, good to know. Yeah. Oh, feeling a buzz. What is that? Yeah, okay, cool. Nothing crazy. Alright, so I did that. Let's pull up the next person here. Let's not delay this any further. My apologies. I just had to take a look at my phone, see if there was anything I needed to be aware of. And there was not, so good. It is good. This is about like the highest red that I'd be willing to put in for highlights for the most part, without fear of it saturating into oranges and pinks. I do like, though, the tip that Colin had given Wolf Parable about using a white paint and going over top and then using red ink to really just nail down that red, the bright red for when Colin was doing non-metallic metals. I think that was a really cool idea. Can I drop a link in your Discord? Yeah, go for it. Oh, drop a link to my Discord in yours. Absolutely. Go for it. The link to my Discord is public. So, you know, if you ever want to share it with people, there's no need for asking for permission. You know, just let people know that it's a family-friendly server. That would be the only thing I would say. Okay, probably go do your job. You're talking inspire me to needle felted dwarf. Ooh, that would be exciting. I like the idea of needle felting dwarfs. Dwarves! More of them! More dwarves now! Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. And yeah, so if you guys ever have any friends who, paint minis, feel free to share with them. This is kind of a thing that I'm doing. They don't have to join the Discord or anything. If they want to, cool. Always happy to have new people. But I'm thinking of just putting it on my Twitter, just an announcement for the idea. See if maybe I can get some excitement for dwarves going. Just do like a hashtag, like March of the Dwarves. I'm super small though, so I don't expect anything to pick up. If it does, really cool though. But yeah, feel free to, spread the love. Sweet. Check my Discord announcements when I'm done. I absolutely will. And thank you for knowing that I usually have Discord closed during my streams. Because my poor computer cannot handle it. And interesting, with a bright red like this, it's kind of just better to go with like where the core highlights are going to be. Like it doesn't necessarily make sense to have like as bright and strongs of reds on the inside of areas, because like where the natural light is going to be reaching isn't really going to hit those areas, and red is a really like loud color, so to speak. So, just trying to concentrate it just on areas where the light would naturally hit. And then leave the dark reds for everything else. Digging through my dwarves right now. Classic 90s chaos dwarves. Holy heck. That's really cool. See, I'm really excited about this. Because if this is able to get people excited to paint something and do like a something thematic and community involved, chef kiss. That's all I've got for that. I'm all about, bringing people together and feeling like a community. Oh, thanks, Warlander. I wonder if I can get any other streamers to jump in on it. Like, I know you've got your terrain projects going right now, but like, I'm wondering if I could like convince Valley to paint a dwarf on stream. Valley's like the only other mini painter that I like does streaming that I regularly talk with. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Feel free to promote it. Like, just like if you know, tell people they're like, hey, there's this thing going on. I'm joining in. I haven't made a hashtag yet, but I plan on doing it. Yeah. Oh yeah, buddy. And if they're interested in a giveaway, then my Discord's where that would happen. Well, now this is a thing. I'm in, but I can't guarantee a stream. Well, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, nothing's gonna really like finish up until like the end of March. Because that's the end of the March. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, that's hecking heck. Man, if this like if this ends up being more than like 25 people, I'm gonna be floored. But if Warlander's promoting it, I feel like it's gonna get a little big. Just you wait. Making something from nothing right in front of us. Yeah. Well, I mean, I absolutely love the mini painting community. I absolutely love the mini painting community. It feels very tight and tied together. By the way, Warlander, maybe you might have the answer for me on this, because I want to make sure that I address Mango properly. Do you know if Mango uses she, her pronouns? I just want to make sure that I don't, you know, address Mango incorrectly. 'Cause I know their name's Rose, and that's as far as it goes. I know that on their Twitter, they identify as trans, but I just want to make sure that because I remember on Mini Board Gaming Dave kept calling Mango he, and I can't help but feel like that was not the correct way to address Mango. But those are things that I want to make sure that I just avoid addressing incorrectly. Now, mistakes happen. I don't think it was out of malicious intent. If the video doesn't get 25 plus views, I'll be a little upset, hoping that. But dude, your accounts are doing really nice. I really liked your Squig video. Your Squig video was very nice. I did watch your Squig video, and that was how I knew about. I was like, oh, Mellow Miniatures is a little bit of a youngin'. One. What do you heck and heck? One video collab that you might like is the Monster Mash, Jack. They did a second Monster Mash. Bill and Berserker Works and a few other content creators, including like Jazza, joined in together for a really, really cool video. Yeah, youngin', the wee lad. When my teacher, my social studies teacher, saw that my last name was Stewart. He's a Scotsman. Rutherglen is his last name. And just like, oh, you Stewart, you wee lad. It was his favorite thing. It was not my favorite thing, but it was his favorite thing. Lucky Loki. My last name translates to farm near the sea. Oh, that's cool. Mine has German origins, actually, and is an insult to the English. So, from what I've read, and I can't help but take this with a grain of salt, because I can't help but feel like there's some inaccuracies here. So long ago, the Germans were in conflict with the British and won. And they had sent a group of people over there to act as lords, basically because, this was the conditions of their battle, their dispute. And so they named those people the Stuyvords, as in like the pig keepers, like a pigsty, wards of the sty. The sty being the English. Again, I can't help but feel like there might be some exaggerations here, or some people on the internet having fun. But the Stuarts were a group of, like, not lords, but they were all land keepers initially. Like they were of the upper class. So this might explain how and why that came to be. I take it with a big old tablespoon of salt, because I can't help but feel like there's some internet exaggeration going on there. But yeah, that is a really good question. I probably I use they primarily from my experience, but we'll touch. Yeah, no worries. I mean, I haven't spoken to Mango except for once, and the question hadn't really dawned on me there and then. And so I feel like it would be a little weird if I come out of the blue. I'm like, hey, what's your preferred pronoun? I mean, it's a perfectly reasonable request. I want to make sure that I'm respectful, right? And I especially don't want Mango to feel like they have to like justify their existence for like what my like I'm non-binary myself. I just want to make sure that talk about it respectfully. Makes sense to me. The Scots used to hate the English. They really did. They did, and kind of for good reason. Mind you, I think most people hated the English at some point in time. Again, largely for good reasons. But that's history, right? That's not today. That's not like, it's not like Jack is a colonialist. It's just 100% agree. No, absolutely. I see no harm in that. I just do what I did as a teenager. I legit asked Kosu and yeah, no. I think it. Oh, jeez. I mean, as a kid, I did that once, and I was like, "Hey, are you a boy or a girl?" Today, I would ask a question more along the line of, "Hey, what is your preferred pronoun?" Because if you ask them with that delivery, Loki, I would probably no, I might get the stick. But yeah, no, it's a valid question. And it's specifically because I want to be respectful. It's not out of like, what are you? Because God, that can be a real pain in the butt. Why? But like, what do you have down? Like, just like none of that. Stop it. Go away. Be respectful. People can be real. Blech. And like, I get it, it's out of curiosity, it's not out of ill intent. You know, more often than not, it's just like because like humans like to label things, and we like to presume that everything fits in a nice little box. um, that's not how it works, that's not how life works. Everything is in layers, right? There's layers to everything. um, like, I am non-binary, I prefer they. This is me saying that out loud. But I accept he. I don't get upset when someone says he. If someone says Chris is a man, I will get upset. But I accept he. I will still sometimes refer to myself as he. If I'm talking in the third person or like retelling a story, I might use he because I've called myself he for 30 years, right? I prefer they, but I accept he because humans are complex. You know, maybe if I was kind of to explore a non-binary identity more in high school, like I tiptoed in it, but I didn't really like come to the realization of why I was having those thoughts. You know, at an earlier age, I probably would have been more insistent on call me they, but I've been called he my whole life. My work doesn't know that I'm non-binary, so there's that too. Humans are complicated, and I don't think that I'm very happy to see that there's this big movement on like just identifying, you know, questioning things like why do we insist on these things, you know? Why do we insist that women have to take the man's last name? That's weird. Why do we do that? Why does the child have to take the father's last name? Why do we do that? You know, that's how it was before, but do we still have to do that? All valid questions, you know. If I recall correctly, is it in Italy? I think in Italy, if I recall correctly, you hyphenate the last names, and I can't remember if that's just for like when you marry or if that's when what the kids do. I can't remember. Brute speak does not play with finicky moderation technology. Yeah, no. Culturally, there are certain things that are just, some people aren't as tiptoe about it, but they want to be respectful, right? Like, and that's totally the thing. Like, there's having good intents and bad executions, and it doesn't necessarily mean the person's bad. It's just, whoops, I'm sorry, I really didn't intend that to be so off-putting. I'm super glad you found a channel. I'm on the same level of understanding. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, right? Because, like, it's, you know, long story short of my gender identity revelation. Because, like, when I was in high school, like, I would look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't feel like I should be a man. But, in the early 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, like, non-binary wasn't really a thing, at least in my neck of the woods, that I'd ever heard of or had any exposure to. So my only other frame of reference was female, and I was like, well, I don't want to be a female. I don't want to be a woman, but I don't really like being a guy. I guess if I have to pick, I guess I'd stay guy. So I just went with it, and I wasn't really happy about it. There's a lot of like toxic masculinity, of course, because that's as old as time. It feels like, So then I would be told, "Yo, you're not acting masculine enough. You're not doing this enough. Oh, why don't you like trucks? Why don't you drink beer?" And I'm just like, "Oh my god, like I don't want to do any of these things. Can you just leave me alone?" Like a few years ago later, from today, I I'm joining on Twitter, I'm hanging out, and I'm seeing this kind of like this gender identity movement happening, and I'm like, well, what is non-binary? I'm seeing people write he, him, they, them, she, her, they, them, he, sure, like all these things on their accounts, and I'm like, what's going on with that? Like, just um, genuine question. Like, I don't understand, right? And you know, um, right? Like, yeah, and people explain, and I'm like, hey, like, I start talking to some non-binary friends I have on Twitter that I've made, and I'm like, what? How do you know that you're non-binary? Like, not out of a question of you, like, how do I know if I'm non-binary? And there was like, it just doesn't feel right, and I'm like, huh. And like, and if I just like experiment like with like what my pronouns are, are people going to take offense to that? And they're like, no, I mean, no, that's how we all learn. That's how we figured it out. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try this. And man, oh man, it felt great. I love it. Welcome back there, Kina. Loki. As a general rule, in Danish, most people are just ignorant of it and consider people snowflakes. Oh man, yeah, it's not much different here. The older generation are not very understanding nor accepting. That's very much the case. You'll encounter some people that are like just indifferent because they don't see the harm in it. But like, I haven't told my parents my gender identity. They just ask, and people get offended and are actually trying to be offensive. But I hate that so much of language and expression are being censored because X person feel bad about it. If you ask me to avoid the subject term around you, I will respect it and will apologize if you hurt someone unintentionally. But I will moderate myself. I think it's overcorrection. No, it's just the older generation. Yeah, I mean, like that's exactly it. Like, older generations have a hard time understanding these things. When I was first hearing about like gender fluidity, I had a knee-jerk reaction because I didn't understand it and I didn't see the point of it. And then later on, I was like, why do I care? Like, there's no reason for me to care. I'm not like, that's just it. In the end of the day, right? Like, it doesn't matter, so I shouldn't have an opinion on it. It doesn't affect me. And that's just it, right? Youngest sibling was described being non-binary as questioning their gender, and they were surprised to hear the rest of us siblings had never questioned our birth sex. Yes. That is a great way of describing my experiences. Because I was like, I don't really know if I want to be this. And then I didn't like what the other options available were to me, so I was like, well, I guess this is what I am. And I wasn't really comfortable with it. I think the greatest thing that I've heard, it was from somebody on YouTube, someone who is, they identified as trans, non-binary, female, something. Like, it was a long list, and they were like, and they're like, does it make sense? No, but you can respect it and make sense of it later. And I was like, I like that. It's like, if someone's ever having troubles understanding, I'm like, look, just respect what they're asking to be called. You don't have to understand it to respect it. And then you can try to make sense of it afterwards, right? Obviously, though, there are some things that are just plain wrong. I was normal growing up to use gay as a replacement for weak. Yup, that is derogatory, and yeah, that has taken a long time for people to stop using. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you had two sons that transitioned. That is, wow. The statistics of that is very fascinating. That's kind of like my best friend is gay, and I think his like 5 siblings or something like that. One of his sisters is came out of the closet as being homosexual, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. Good on your mom. Like she's got two gay kids. Neat. Like that was all I heard about her. But yeah, I can't talk. That was really all there was about it, right? That's awesome. Everyone can be happy. That's all there is to it. I've never been a fan of labels, but the birth sex is one I've never questioned. That's not me dismissing or saying it. You're wrong. I just don't get it. And you know what? Like, to not understand it is perfectly fine, right? But like the idea is like, if a person is saying that what they were assigned at birth is not how they identify, there's really just nothing to argue about with it, right? And the choices there are really just, do I be respectful of what they are requesting, or do I choose to go against it and not be respectful? And it's kind of like the idea of like name calling. If I meet you and you're like, hey, my name is blank, and I say, okay, well, I'm going to call you Mud. And it's like, well, no, I'm not Mud. And it's like, but I'm going to call you Mud, right? It's the same thing, right? It's just like, that's not what I want to be called. Don't call me that. And, if I decide to insist on it, then I'm in the wrong. Yeah. No, exactly. If it doesn't affect you, then, like, it doesn't matter. Um, you know, really, it's just up to that person and who their partner is. And obviously, their partner should be respectful of it, or else they should not be their partner. Oh yeah, no, exactly, right. Exactly, and like so, in regards of what you're referring to Jack, there's a good term that you can find, and it's AFAB and AMAB, and it just means assigned male at birth or assigned female at birth. And people within these communities will use these terms. So I am AMAB, and the reason that we use it is because what you're assigned at birth often has a big impact on how society treats you, how they respond to being your transition or non-binary. Like, so for example, AMABs who transition to female get very different public responses than AFABs who transition to male, and it's very, very like shocking to see it because people who transition to male will get called gay. They will get accused of being sex offenders or sexual predators. Like, they get these horrible responses. But and this is obviously not the case for everybody. These are just trends. People who transition to being male typically don't really get from the general community a negative response. Studies and like surveys have found that the people who respond the worst are older generation lesbians who accuse, typically butch lesbians, who accuse them of faking or like trying to get past or like skip the line or whatever it is, right? Like those are the ones who end up, by surveys and people's self-reported experiences, give it to them the worst. And it's very, very like, wow. Similarly with people who are non-binary, AFABs who identify as non-binary don't get the side-eyed glare that AMABs do as often. People might question it and be like, oh, okay, well, that's, and not to say that they're going to be necessarily respectful to them, but it's just going to be a very different experience. AMAB non-binaries and AFAB non-binaries have different experiences. There's a great person on Twitter, I think it's like Angry Transvestite or Angry Trans. I can't remember their Twitter handle, but I can grab it after if anyone's interested. I can DM them it. They're a sensitivity reader, and they have some remarkable, just points of explanation if you ever want to go on their Twitter. Hey, what are you doing? Zelda's like trying to groom herself. She's like in this weird sitting position. Worried she's gonna unplug cables. Hey, Gruffy Bears. You caught me close to the end of the stream. How are you doing, buddy? We were just talking a whole lengthy thing on gender identity, and just, a nice little conversation. Hey, Rhapsody Studios. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Actually, so I've got 2 new people hanging out in the stream. I'm going to be hosting a community event. And it's going to be about... I'm finished recording a podcast. Oh, that's exciting. We're going to do a community event called March of the Dwarves. And I'm going to be, after this stream today, I'm going to be painting nothing but dwarves on stream. And, there might be some prizes, some giveaways. It's not going to be based off of painting ability. Just, you do a submission, put it in, we'll maybe treat it like a raffle. Let's see here. It makes sense. Anthropologically, men are quicker to feel threatened about gender insecurities. And females. Well, I think so. In terms of that, there, Loki, that's a great point. Culturally, men use when not just men either, actually, but a lot of people will attack gender identity. So for men, a way of psychologically attacking someone is to attack their masculinity. It is the most messed up thing in the world. I do not understand it, or how that came to be, but that has been a thing. So which is why people would attack another person, calling them gay, calling them a woman, a pansy, tell people to put on a dress. Like there are all these weird things that culturally people do. Be a man. Like it's, oh my god, it drives me nuts. Zelda, you are determined to clean your legs right now. Yeah, it's messed up. Pretty good. Finished recording the podcast. Gosh, sounds very interesting. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. This is a topic that's interesting as my teenagers are mid to older teens, and I have seen this generation handle it differently than mine. I absolutely agree there, Warlander. Like, just like from what I am seeing on social media, there's a big like gender identity movement, and it's not like, I want you to change, just like an understanding of, like, they have a different understanding of gender identity that my generation didn't previously. Watching everyone paint up models like these in the Stormcast makes me want to get some. Oh man. Well, I'm I was talking about dwarves earlier. Yeah, so Rhapsody Studios. Here, let's just give start off by giving some shout outs. I haven't done any shout outs today. I'm just going to go here. SO. Oh my god, that's caps. SO Rhapsody. And then SO Warlander. There we go. Make sure we do some. If I miss anyone, please let me know. 5e supplement just got accepted onto the 5e tools homebrew repo. Oh, that's awesome, buddy. Congrats. It's great that gender is becoming a topic of conversation. It's enabling people to be their true selves. Absolutely, Rhapsody. It was thanks to the gender, identities and stuff, like the discussions on Twitter, that I kind of I was like, I don't think male really matches up with me. This non-binary thing sounds awesome. Sounds much more me. So I was very insecure about it at first, because I was like, are people going to be like, I'm not actually non-binary? And that has not happened once, and it's lovely. Just don't have bugs. I like that, Griffin Bears. If you hate the term to be a man, Mellow Minis, never watch Mulan. Oh, I'm very familiar with the song that you're saying it. It is a catchy song, though. It is a catchy song. I think every 90 kids, if you start saying that, most of them are going to sing along, male or not. It's just a fun song. Let's see. Yeah, it's a lot of little steps, but I think it's getting towards a better society. And the thing is too, there are cultures that don't use the term man and woman, or they already have set dedicated, third gender terms. Traditional Tagalog did not use he or she. Right? And before, from what I understood, for what's been explained to me, again, I could be wrong, take these things with a grain of salt. What has been explained to me is before American and Spanish colonialism, they had less cases of gender inequality, which is fascinating. Mulan is good. I love Mulan. The original animated film is just a great movie. I'm gonna have nothing against the song. I just don't want people to be like, Chris is a man. That's my only thing. Just to clear that up in case that was unclear. Because it's a great movie. Okay. Sadly, I see that I'm getting a second wave of people coming in. I do unfortunately have to get ready for work. I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna touch up the red on... I already did the red on this guy, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna touch up these last three guys outside of stream. And starting this Saturday, so 2 days from now on my time. So we're just gonna pull these guys in here. Oh yeah, just look at all of them. They're real good. I'm pretty happy with these. I'm very happy with these. Chris is Chris. Treat people like Kirby. Chris is shaped like a friend. I love that, Gruffy Bears. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Exactly. Chris is Chris. And I know that I was identifying as he, him early on. I hope that there's nobody in the podcast that feels like they misgendered me. It's perfectly fine. Just to make that very, very clear. Because I've known you guys for a couple of years now. Which is a weird thought. I've known you for at least 2 years. But yes, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I'm going to finish these last three guys. They're going to be good. There's other things that I'm going to want to finish up on here. But oh, thank you, thank you. I also have here. Let me go pull them out. I've got these guys that I already put into the foam. Yeah, kind of looking like this here. Let's see if it's if I go too close, it's going to be too close. Surprise. But yeah, they're looking good. I'm gonna need to touch up a couple of the things on the gray. So on this guy, you can see like his backpack is actually kind of. Oh, you can't see anything at all. Let me get that a little closer. Yeah, you can kind of see it's not all black. It's actually highlighted, but that's okay because starting. Oh, Nicole liked the stream. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, starting this weekend, we're going to start March of the Dwarves. So I'm going to say goodbye to these guys for the rest of the month and ignore them. I'm going to put them away. It's going to feel so good to paint something that's not them. And I'm going to be exclusively painting dwarves for this month. Let's get that closer. There we go. So this here is a Malleus Miniature Dwarf. I would at least like to purchase somebody in the world. This dwarf and his brother, they are phenomenal sculpts, hand sculpted, cast. I'm very excited about it. None of this is going to be based off painting potential. It doesn't have to be a miniature painting. You could do absolutely anything. Post it in the Discord. There's a separate channel for March of the Dwarves. And I just want it to be something that's fun, community driven, and everybody has a good time. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I probably am. But I think specifically I don't want it to be a painting competition. My idea right now, I need to figure things out, but my idea right now is if you post something, you have entered a raffle, and that was your raffle ticket. You've paid for the raffle. You've contributed to the March of the Dwarves, and all of their glory. And yeah, that is my idea for that right now. Let us see who is online. Let's do a raid. Let's go twitch.tv. We're gonna mute that. We're gonna go into my following. We're gonna go live. Who's live? A lot of people are live. I can see. I see that Kefa is streaming. Let's see. I can see Steiner is streaming. Oh, N Trouble is streaming. Oh, we have to raid N Trouble. I love N Trouble. N Trouble's great. Yes, you have a great day as well there, Warlander. I have to get ready and do adult things. I don't look forward to it. But N Trouble is just the sweetest little lady. So let us go and go hang out with her and say hi. I think N Trouble would like the idea of March of the Dwarves. She is a big Reaper fan, so with 3D printer and everything too, I'm sure. But we can talk about them later. Later, Rhapsody. Bye-bye.